How'd I get into this mess? That's far enough. You can't run forever, Mr. Phoenix Wright. That Francis... Oh, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What? What have I done wrong? I cannot allow you to go on like this. But I'm just a simple defense attorney. Silence. You are no longer worthy of your title. That's a fucked up way to die as an attorney. No, I've never had a dream like that. Had this dream before, someplace, some time ago. Hello, this is Phoenix Wright. Oh, you don't look so well, dude. You're gonna prove me not guilty today, right? If you please, Mr. Lawyer. Remember, it's not just me your precious friend's life is riding on today's verdict, too. Gah. Now listen up, you better get on guard a guilty sentence, okay? If you get that creepy slime bag and not guilty, I'll never forgive you, ever. Maya. Phoenix. Mia! Shit! Maya, how's Maya? I don't know. You don't know? She hasn't tried to channel me since yesterday, and I haven't seen her around the dead area, so I don't think she's dead yet. Mia, what am I supposed to do? Well, like I said, for a lawyer, the worst of times are when you have to force your biggest smiles. But you can't give up. There's still some hope left. Stop it, please. There's nothing left. Not here, not anywhere. Oh, God. That accursed on guard again. Will you leave me alone? Look, don't call me anymore. I mean it. You're really mean, pal. Didn't the number pop up? Ah, Gumshoe, I'm really sorry. Where are you? Well, let me join the investigation team. We're chasing after the killer, pal. Then you have some sort of lead? Sorry, but right now we've got 0 leads on the guy. Then why the fuck are you calling me? We're not giving up yet. Going to give up yet. Gumshoe. Till the trial's over. Till the verdict is handed out. We're going to do everything we can and find a killer. If we can get Maya out, then you can get on guard the guilty verdict he deserves, pal. That's true, I could do that if they found Maya first. You got that? So you have to do whatever you can to make the trial last longer. I have to make the trial last longer? If you go at Edgeworth with everything you got, then you two can draw it out. Oh, now I get it. How do you not understand that? I believe in you, pal. You and Edgeworth can do it. So, believe in us. We're gonna give it all we've got, just like you. Got it. Thanks, Gumshoe. Hey, Phoenix. You understand now, don't you? You have something money will never be able to buy. Friendship. That's the strongest weapon in the world, and you have it in abundance. I have to make the trial last as long as I can. Gumshoe will come through, I know it. Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Ungod. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Who is that a passive-aggressive pass towards? The judge or me? Or both? He's just gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna ignore that smart-ass comment you had. Now, as I recall, we concluded yesterday's session with a big mystery on our hands. The mystery being what exactly was Miss Adrian Andrews' role in this murder. That is to say, is she really connected to the crime itself? Mr. Edgeworth, if you please inform the court of today's proceedings. Adrian Andrews... She forged evidence that threw suspicion on the man on guard, and then proceeded to escape the crime scene by wearing a nickel samurai costume. The guilt of these actions are those from which she cannot escape. Then you're saying she's guilty after all? I'm not finished, Your Honor. Don't interrupt me, goddammit. Miss Andrews has nothing to do with committing the actual murder. I would like to direct the court's attention to this card. What is that? It looks like a shell. This is the calling card of a certain assassin. Assassin, you say? Well, I'm too old for this shit. I'm not presiding over this case anymore. Deuces. Yes, Juan Corona was killed by a professional assassin. And the person who hired the assassin, his client, so to speak, is Matt Ungard. What do you mean, so to speak? That is exactly what a client is. Anyways, what a surprising turn of events. I would think it's become commonplace by now, Your Honor. I know what's going on this time, so I know that everything Edgeworth has said is true. But we still have to hold out as long as we can, at least until Maya's safe and sound. I wonder how the trial will turn out today. I wonder. Now then, please call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution calls the defendant's mentor, Mr. Will Powers, to the stand. Now then, witness, your name and occupation, please.
Okay, I'm Will Powers. I'm a poor, underpaid action star.
And what is your relation to the defendant?
Well, I guess I'm sort of a lousy mentor to him in a way, yeah.
Mr. Powers, please, you don't need to put yourself down so much. I know, right? Jesus Christ!
Sorry. Well, but I'm just kind of a nothing sort of guy. Everybody says I'm ugly, but I'm not really that ugly. It's just, I guess, hard to make somebody look super ugly in this game. Although, didn't you see that the director Hottie or whatever the fuck his name is, that dude? Now that dude's fuck ugly.
On the night of the murder, you visited the defendant's room. Is this correct?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
But you know, I didn't actually get to see Matt when I went.
All you need to do is answer what you're asked. Now then, I would like you to testify about when you went to Mr. Ungard's room.
Okay, sure. After the award ceremony, I went by myself to Matt's room. Matt was standing there in front of his room, still in his nickel samurai costume. He was talking with someone. At first, I thought it was the bellboy. I watched the two of them for a while, but then I gave up and went back. I guess with me that night, I couldn't make them wait for me.
Well, that's a whole lot of nothing. Nothing sounds out of place in Mr. Powers' testimony. Talking with the bellboy is no big deal. If one assumes that the person Mr. Ungard was speaking with was an ordinary bellboy, what are you implying? Well, Mr. Wright, let's have your cross-examination, shall we? Dude just didn't answer him. What are you implying? Well, Phoenix Wright, okay. Looks like we're in another sticky situation. What's this, South Park? Huh? A trap. Can't you smell it, Phoenix? But for us to find out more, we're just gonna have to charge in head first, right? The defendant's room? Where'd you go? Why'd you go there?
Well, I'm his mentor, like a big brother sort of, and I wanted to say congrats.
What's wrong? Why did you stop?
Mr. Wright.
What is it?
You're going to try to trick me into a corner, aren't you?
Huh?
I know I'm just a poor underpaid action star, but I'm not the killer.
No one said you were, Mr. Powers.
No, please, don't trick me. Every time you do your lawyer thing, the witness suddenly turns into the bad guy.
Every time? Witness, I will personally talk to the defense at a later time. So for now, please kindly cooperate and continue with your testimony.
Sorry.
So you went to the defendant's room, and then? Hey, wait a minute. When and how did I suddenly get turned into the bad guy here? Are you sure that was Matt Ungard?
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't wearing the nickel samurai mask then.
If that's the case, then he really can't be mistaken. And what was the defendant doing standing in front of his own room?
He was talking with someone at first. I thought it was the bellboy.
At first? What do you mean by that?
Well, he was in a bellboyish uniform and he had a bottle of juice on a tray.
Sounds like an ordinary bellboy to me.
Yeah, but I didn't think he was a normal bellboy.
And why was that?
Why did I think that, Mr. Wright?
How am I supposed to know?
Sorry, but I can't remember right now. Sorry.
I guess I'm going to have to wait patiently on this one. You saw the two of them, the bellboy and the defendant, together, correct?
Yeah, the bellboy just wanted to say congrats.
Now, while you were watching the two of them, did you notice anything strange?
You know, I did feel something weird. I think it was because Matt, well, he gave the bellboy a tip.
A tip? But that's a perfectly normal thing to do. So how long did you watch the two of them?
Not more than a minute or two, I think.
So who are these guests you're talking about?
You guys, of course, dumbass. You and Maya and Little Pearl. Thought it would be really rude since I invited you guys if I disappeared on you. So I went back to my seat pretty soon after seeing Matt in the hallway.
It's like squeezing water from a stone. It's probably pointless to press further. Do you remember this incident? Did Mr. Powers leave his seat that night? I don't remember that happening at all. Maya was making such a racket in her hyper state. I ended up focusing on her. Let's see. In any case, from his story, he probably wasn't gone for very long. Wait. So you pressed everything and had to go back and press something again? Oh, that's super awkward. I don't necessarily think to do that because that's like doesn't make sense from a narrative perspective. Could it be that you felt something strange about the tip giving incident itself?
Oh yeah, that's it. You really know your job.
Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. This bellboy. He wasn't an ordinary one, was he? Perhaps we should let the witness tell us. Very well. It was weird that I would suddenly start talking to you in the middle of cross-examination. Mr. Powers, please amend your testimony.
You mean about the bellboy, right? Matt gave the bellboy a tip.
So he gave the bellboy a tip. What's so strange about that?
Well, you see, Matt's not a poor penny pincher like me. I was trying to figure out how much it was because the tip really shocked me.
How much it was?
But that's when something even more surprising happened. Bellboy was putting the tip he got in his pocket. And that's when I got my first good look at the guy's face. I was really shocked.
I'm afraid I don't follow it all. Sounds like Mr. Powers was surprised twice by this event. Wonder which of shocking moments I should ask about. What's so shocking about the bellboy's face, Mr. Powers?
Well, he wasn't exactly a boy, maybe more like an old gramps.
I hope you know that discrimination towards old men is a no-no in my court.
No, that's not what I meant at all. In the smack middle of the guy's face, there was a line of stitches.
A line of stitches?
Yeah, and it went straight from the tippy top of his head to the bottom of his chin. It's really fucking weird. Almost like if that thread snapped, all the stuff in his head would come splitting out.
Yeah, basically, that's fucking weird. He was there. At Unguard's house. He was that butler. What is it, Mr. Wright? Nothing, Your Honor. So that means Unguard was talking with the killer then. If that fact were to get exposed, Unguard would be declared guilty in a blink. Phoenix, you have to play dumb here. Pretend you don't know anything. Yes, Chief. You sure you don't have anything you'd like to say, Mr. Wright? Huh? What'd you just say, Your Honor? Nothing, Mr. Wright. Nothing. We're just going around and round in circles. Now then, Mr. Powers, please continue with your testimony. The defendant is a huge star. He can afford to give generous tips, wouldn't you agree?
Sure, but giving him that much was maybe a little too much, I think.
A little too much? Would you please clarify to the court? Well, how much would you say the defendant gave to the bellboy?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't even begin to guess.
And why is that?
Because he gave the bellboy a really, really fat roll of cash.
A roll of cash? What if it was all singles? Well, how interesting. That certainly was a very generous tip, wasn't it? A very fat roll of cash. That can hardly be called a tip, Your Honor. Judge is beginning to look awfully suspicious of us. The defendant is a superstar. They literally could have been all ones. That kind of tip is typical fare for someone like him. People like him. Are you saying that all superstars are super spenders? If I could receive large rolls of cash by simply bringing people things on trays, then why on earth would I be stand around here prosecuting? Got a point. I don't even get paid, let alone rolls of cash for all my hard work. How the hell do I keep the office open and pay the rent? I have no idea. I'm probably a drug dealer on the side. Let's bring it all out into the open. We all know what Phoenix really does to make money, right? So supposing that roll of cash was not a tip, then what was it? Payment, Your Honor. Payment. Isn't it obvious? For the murder of Mr. Juan Corda. This is so... Now, we're working in such a counterintuitive, like, strategy now. So we have to keep the arguments going. So we actually have to draw out arguments and then argue all against them. But we have to do things that like are against what we want to do simply so that we can drag it out. Then the bellboy, the witness, saw, yes, he was the assassin. Hold your horses now, Mr. Edgeworth. You don't have any proof of this, do you? Have I ever been unprepared to support my claims, Your Honor? Yes. I have here the card Shelley the Killer left at the scene of the crime. Shelley the Killer. He is the person the police and special investigations team have been chasing for ages. I am certain that this person the witness saw was this very assassin, Shelley the Killer. Really? What's wrong, Mr. Powers?
No, nothing. Something just clicked in my head and I think I just figured something out.
Oh?
Actually, I saw that bellboy again later on that night.
What? How does Phoenix not remember this? How do you forget a dude who has stitching down the center of his face? Mr. Powers, please testify. Tell us what you saw.
Yes, sir, right away.
Dude brought out the card like this is my evidence, okay? What the fuck does that have to do with the bellboy getting a wad of cash from On Guard? Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're arguing the argument. That's all this is.
This time I was in the hallway because I had to go to the bathroom. And that's when that bellboy I saw earlier came out of the room. Of course, when I say room, I mean one corridor's room. Now that I think about it, that bellboy did seem kind of out of place. Yeah, so he had to be the assassin, I'm sure of it.
I mean is a part of your testimony? Thank you very much. That is all we need for now.
Huh? But I'm not done. There's still more.
Let us first establish that the bellboy was truly Mr. the Killer. Then we shall see. So the bellboy came out of the victim's room. And if that bellboy really was the assassin, then I think the answer is fairly obvious. That would be correct, Your Honor. Well, Mr. Wright, I believe it's your turn to entertain and make us laugh. This is no laughing matter. Does it look like I'm laughing for real? It's awkward laughter, Mia. Get over it. And what time was it?
Oh, well, I don't remember. The award ceremony ended around 8 p.m., right? I went to Matt's room pretty soon after that, and I came back. Then I went to the bathroom. So I guess maybe it was around 8:10 by that time.
You're not one for details, are you, Mr. Powers?
Sorry. I thought I could maybe catch Matt and say my congrats.
Are you sure it was the same bellboy? Stitches down the face and everything?
Yeah.
And how could you tell? All the bellboys were the same uniform after all.
But you see, well, he had those stitches in his face. I just talked about that. Ugh. So I'm sure it's the same guy that was talking with Matt.
So which room did the bellboy come out of? Of course there are, but I'm not sure anybody would have asked a question that stupid. And then he followed it up with something even more ridiculous. They all have the same uniforms.
Well, yeah, but do they all have stitches down their face?
It's not like he failed to mention that detail before. The victim's room, huh? Does that even qualify as a question, technically?
Yeah, the one with all the really pretty flowers and teddy bears. It was Juan's room, all right.
Words cannot describe how screwed I am. Let's continue with the testimony, shall we? So what exactly was so out of place about him? Right. Why that insipid grin? Because I have no idea what damaging thing he's going to say next.
Well, the bellboy was empty-handed.
Empty-handed?
That bellboy was one of those room service people, right? But he wasn't pushing a cart and he wasn't holding a tray either. You'd call that a little strange too, wouldn't you?
I agree that is a bit strange, Mr. Powers. But is it really that unusual for a bellboy to be empty-handed? What should I do? Should I let Mr. Powers' testimony slide, or... There's nothing strange or unusual about an empty-handed bellboy.
But there really is.
There really isn't. If you two are done being school children, bellboys are for room service. There's no reason for them to be empty-handed ever. Except for maybe when they're actually just going from one place to another without an actual job on hand. That happens sometimes, but forget that entirely. Your Honor, I ask that the witness's previous statement be supplanted with this new one. Edgeworth, you going to do whatever you can to make the bellboy look suspicious? I see, very well. This court recognizes and grants the prosecution's request. Mr. Powers, if you could amend your testimony, please.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that it's suspicious for him to be empty-handed?
Yeah, really suspicious. I mean, when I first saw that bellboy, he was holding a tray in his hand, and there was a bottle of juice and a wine glass on it.
Juice? What kind of juice was it?
I'm pretty sure it was tomato juice.
If we could come up with some sort of reason as to why he would come out empty-handed, some sort of proof, then I think we can dodge the bullet on this one for now. Proof, huh? Sounds like another job for the court record. Oh. Because he dropped the tray there. Uh-huh. Mr. Powers.
Yes?
You're easily influenced by other people's words, aren't you? Yeah, that was unnecessary. As soon as you heard that the bellboy might have been the killer, you got caught up in believing it must be true.
But isn't he really suspicious? He's got all those stitches and...
So, a baseball has stitches. Are you suspicious of a baseball? Where is he going with that? Are you saying all baseballs are suspicious because they have stitches?
Well, there's also, I mean, what about him being empty-handed?
I'd like to ask the court to please take a look here. This is the crime scene. There is a wine glass sitting next to Mr. Cordo's body. The liquid inside this glass is tomato juice. And now, if you look at what is on top of the table in the lower right corner there, anyone can clearly see that is a tray with a bottle of tomato juice on it. The bellboy had just brought this to Mr. Cordo's room. He left the tray in the room, which is why he was empty-handed when he left. But that would mean that the bellboy had seen and left a dead body in the room. But can you prove that Mr. Cordo was already dead at that time?
Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes. I blame you for leading me down this route. I'm terribly sorry. What is with him? Why is he laughing? Witness, isn't there one more thing you would like to share with us?
Is there?
The bellboy was empty-handed, or should I say empty-handed. I recall you had something interesting to say about his hands.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot.
You would never forget these things. If Edgeworth knew about it, then he would have had him testify to it on direct. That's weird. Huh? What?
That bellboy, he was wearing gloves.
Gloves?
Yeah, pitch black leather ones. All the other bellboys don't wear gloves like that, right?
Black leather gloves. Why didn't you mention them earlier?
Sorry, it slipped my mind.
Ugh, boy, does this make the bellboy look really suspicious. Alright, gotta focus. I can't get lax here. But what if he had gloves? A lot of bellboys wear gloves.
Come on, Mr. Wright. That bellboy was wearing black leather ones.
It's actually a foolish mistake by the assassin to do that. Wear white gloves mostly. So, a football is made of leather. Are you saying all footballs are suspicious because they're made of leather? Oh my god. Ugh. But that man, he received a large roll of cash from the defendant, and then he was seen leaving the crime scene wearing black leather gloves. I don't think that even someone like myself can believe it was just another bellboy. Ugh. It seems that we have finally come to an understanding. Now then, witness, please continue with the rest of your testimony. The rest? Oh yes, please tell us more.
Okay.
Phoenix is outstanding.
After leaving Juan's room, the bellboy went and knocked on Matt's door just like that. He gave something to the person inside the room. Then the old guy just left without even going into the room. After that, I went to the bathroom and then back to my seat.
So the bellboy, after leaving the crime scene, next went to the defendant's room?
Yeah, I kind of saw all that by accident.
Some accident? I'd say you saw too much. All of it was suspicious to high heaven. I think it's safe to say that we can no longer consider this bellboy to be normal. Now then, let's get started, shall we? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Yes, Your Honor. Is that what you saw while you were busy spying?
Excuse me?
Ooh, that's some funny misdirection.
I may be a poor, underpaid action star, but even I wouldn't stoop to spying.
Well, I think the point is, where did you watch all this from, Mr. Powers?
Oh, from the door of the bathroom with my left eye in a sort of sneaky spy-like.
I knew he was spying. Please, does it really matter if he was doing it over or underhandedly? No, it doesn't. What did the bellboy do next? That's all I care to know.
He gave something to the person inside the room.
I said hold it.
Okay.
That's better. What kind of statement is that? Please elaborate and give us a few more details.
Oh, okay.
I should probably ask him only one question at a time. He gave something to this person?
Yeah.
And what was this something?
If I remember what it was, I wouldn't be calling it a something, would I?
But this implies that something was removed from the scene of the crime. Are you sure you really can't remember, Mr. Powers?
I think it was something kind of small.
This is an incredibly crucial piece of information. Please try to remember what it was.
I'll try.
In the meantime, let's talk about another point, namely what Bellboy did next.
Oh, so after he gave the person inside the room the thing...
So, who took this something the bellboy handed off?
Actually, I don't know.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry, but I only saw the person's arm.
Only an arm? You're saying you didn't see the person's face?
Yeah.
I would like to summarize the testimony up to this point, if you don't mind. When the bellboy left the crime scene, he immediately went to the defendant's room. There he handed a small item of some sort to the person inside. As for the person who received the item, all you could see was the person's arm.
Yes, it's just like that.
Mr. Edgeworth, is all this really that important? Of course, Your Honor, I think this is of the utmost importance. This is when whatever was removed from the crime scene was handed over to the clients. Mr. Powers, please try to remember what it was the bellboy handed off.
Well, let's see. I think it was a statue.
A statue?
Yeah, it kind of looked like one, I guess. If I saw the actual thing again, I'd probably remember, you know?
Looks like for this trial to proceed, I'm going to have to come up with whatever the statue thing is and show it to him. Going to have to trust your instinct on this one and take a chance, Phoenix. Oh, Mr. Powers, let's continue with your testimony. What did the bellboy do after that? Where did this bellboy go after he left Mr. Ungard's room?
He opened the door to reveal the hall. Went in there, and who knows after that, right?
I do. Did you see anything strange, suspicious, or just out of the ordinary at that time?
Oh yeah, I saw that one thing.
What? He saw something else?
There was this jittery alien with a ray gun. It was watching Juan's door like some sort of stalker.
I think we can forget about the alien. His testimony was just as vague as his first. It's a little troublesome, isn't it? But I'm sure if you press him enough, everything will become clearer. Although, that just makes it harder on us, doesn't it? Talk about a lose-lose situation. Alright, we need to figure out what the statue was. What was the point of that pregnant pause? Where did that objection come from? Well, speak up. It was me, Your Honor. What is it, Phoenix? I have a feeling that something bad is going to happen once I show this. Mr. Wright, if you have something to say, please spit it out now. Yes, Your Honor. Okay, Phoenix, deep breath. Mr. Powers, that's something you saw. Was it this item?
Oh, hey, that's it. That's the something? Wow, Mr. Wright, you really figured it out.
I recall we found this at Man on Guard's mansion. At the defendant's house. What does this mean? It's simple, Your Honor. Showing the killer assassinated Juan Corridor in his room, and then he stole this wooden bear from the scene of the crime. Then the bear being found at Mr. Ungod's mansion would mean. It goes without saying, Your Honor, Mr. Manengard is the killer's client. But that's still assuming that the bellboy is the murderer, which they still haven't clearly established yet. Order, I said order! Mr. Wright, this is a most unfortunate turn of events for you. Yeah? Sorry, Mia. No, it's alright, your judgment was sound. Actually, I figured the bear would come up. Not now, then it would have later on. Even if you hadn't shown it to the court, I'm sure your friend Edgeworth would have. I almost forgot that he knew about it too. I think it is clear that there's no need for us to continue this trial. This witness was obviously decisive because he talked about this one dude that, yeah, he was suspicious and all, but, you know, he was obviously the killer. And then it was obviously hired by Mr. Ungard based on the word on Mr. Edgeworth and nothing else, really. I can't let this happen. I have to do something. There has to be something we've overlooked. Your Honor, a minute, please. Yes, Mr. Wright? There's still a few points left that we have not fully explored. What are you trying to pull? Oh, well, we can't have that, obviously. All right, Mr. Wright, what a questionable point would you like to explore further? Probably the bear itself. There's one thing in Mr. Power's testimony that was very unclear, and that is the identity of the person who receives the bear. As long as we don't know who it was that took the bear, we can't be sure of. Ah! What is it, Mr. Powers? If you're going to scream like that, then at least give us a good reason why.
Oh yeah, sorry. Actually, so I remembered who took the bear.
What? Fuck. Really?
I mean, I only saw his arm, but the arm, it was the Nickel Samurai's arm, I swear.
You've got to be kidding. Are you sure of that, Mr. Powers?
Yeah, I'm sure it was the Nickel Samurai.
Order, order! Looks like you've dug your own grave yet again. How many times is that today? I've lost count. So the person who took in this little bear was the Nickel Samurai. And as we all know, man on guard is the Nickel Samurai. Thanks to the defense, we made that all the clearer. What am I supposed to do now? Mia, help! You don't have time to act lost. You've got to find another angle to attack this from. Hurry! Mr. Power's testimony, of course.
I know my testimony.
Your inanity stupefies me, Mr. Wright. We have already clarified all questionable points during the cross-examination just now. Wasting time like this calling the testimony questionable, I'd say it's your head that's questionable here. Ugh! Oh, was the bear? The bear was the other thing. Yes, I agree. The cross-examination went smoothly and there was nothing wrong with the testimony. Except for the fact that he kept Please wait, you are being very persistent today. Because I can't let it end like this. I know my outburst just now was a little questionable. I think it's fairly obvious that the bear itself is very questionable. The bear, Mr. Wright? This was found at Mr. Ungard's mansion. However, Mr. Ungard was arrested at the hotel that night, which means that since the murder occurred, he has not had a chance to go home. Oh. I think Your Honor has already figured out what I'm trying to say. It is not possible that it was Mr. Ungard who took this bear to his mansion. What? That's very true. We didn't consider that point, Mr. Wright. There was no way time-wise for the defendant to have taken this bear home. Disaster You haven't gotten the best of me yet, Mr. Wright. Huh? I remember it clear as day. I remember what you muttered to yourself at Ungard's mansion. The killer and Ungard were working together, so to speak, and the killer was hiding at Ungard mansion as its butler. What a bold move. That's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see if it works out for him. The bear figurine was brought back to Ungard mansion by the killer himself. When it looked like he was about to be arrested, Ungard had him do so. I assume because it would have been bad had the police found it during their investigation. Well, Mr. Wright, you've been quiet for a while now. This is too much. Is there anything I can attack at all? I think we've heard enough. We now know why this bear figurine was at the defendant's mansion, as well as who it was that received the bear from the assassin in his room. Everything has become very clear. The client who hired the assassin to commit the murder was Mr. Mad on Guard. I see no reason for this trial to continue, therefore I will now hand down my verdict. Thank you, Your Honor, for your understanding. You see, Mr. Wright, you could not win against the truth, could you? I knew it would turn out this way. After all, what Edgeworth stated is the truth. Any last objections, Mr. Wright? Well, do I? What should I do? I will now announce my shit. There's only one way for me to drag this trial out. The only thing I have left is this one tiny trick. Your Honor, right now we have these two reasons to believe my client is the assassin's client. Reason number one, he accepted the bear figurine from the assassin. Reason number two, that the very same figurine was found in Guard Mansion. However, it's possible that this is all the work of a certain other person. What are you saying? What I'm saying is, it's possible a different person is to kill his real client. The real client? Yes. Is this all you have? Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your theory. I assume we're gonna accuse Adrian again, frame Matt on guard for the crime, by wearing a spare nickel samurai costume. Then the nickel samurai's arm that I saw, that could have very well been Miss Andrews. But what about Mr. On God? If you would please recall yesterday's testimony. The defendant was taking a nap during the break period. That's right. Then, finding this figure at Mr. On Guard's mansion, it was a well-laid trap set by Miss Andrews. Mr. Edgeworth, what is your opinion on this? This is even worse, because I have to go do all this counterintuitive bullshit and then also keep accusing Adrian, which just breaks my heart every time it happens. I can't even begin to count the flaws in the defense's logic, besides which there is no evidence to support it. However, I can't fully discount its possibility either. What is with the trial? Come on, anyone can tell On Guard did it. I can't believe. Unbelievable! This is to save Maya. This is to save Maya. Even if the whole world turns against me, this is one fight I can't give up on. I know why we're doing it. I'm just telling you why it's hurting every fiber in my being. Order, order, order! All distracted parties will be forced to leave the courtroom. Your Honor, for the benefit of the defense, I'm willing to play along with his what-if game. His what-if game, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution is prepared to challenge the defense's theory. Mr. Wright, even you must have thought it strange and wondered, why would the criminal want this little wooden bear? That's right. The killer did specifically bring that bear to On Guard right away. Why do you ask? Is there something special about it? Absolutely, and I'm sure that once the court knows its significance, the true killer's identity will become crystal clear. Your Honor, the prosecution calls upon a witness who will clear all doubts against Miss Andrews. And who would that be? It's quite simple, Your Honor. Miss Adrian Andrews herself. Oh, God. Not again. I see. Well, then, the court will take a short 10-minute recess. Prosecution will prepare its witness in that time. Yes, Your Honor. Oh, I knew it was a good idea to hold her hostage. Don't you agree, Mr. Lawyer? But I never thought in your desperation you'd try to pin the guilt onto Adrian. I swear this demon will pay. Mr. Nick! Pearls? Where's Mia? I don't know. Really strong power suddenly called her away. Really strong power? Oh, Mr. Nick, your phone is... It's from Gumshoe. How's it going? Have you been hanging there, pal? Yeah, sort of. We just barely found something to latch onto. Ew, that's good, pal. What about you? Anything yet? You figured out where the killer and Maya are? Are you just talking about this in front of his client? We still don't have any leads, but... What? We don't have any more time. If we just had one, even a single clue would be really helpful. I was only able to come this far because I kept thinking to myself, gotta keep the trial going until Maya's been rescued. But have I just run out of luck this time? Is all our hope for naught? Tent. Huh? A tent? I could see a circus tent. Mia? Looks like Maya was unconscious until just a few minutes ago. As soon as she woke up, she called for me. It was Maya that called you away? She's locked in a dusty little room right now. But I could see a circus tent outside the window about 300 feet away. Gumshoe, is there a circus tent in town right now? There's only one, pal. The very big circus. Oh, God. Maya's somewhere within a 300-foot radius of the main tent. What? Okay, hold on a second, pal. Hey, draw a circle on that map. About a 300-foot radius from the main tent. Hurry. And I could see a mailbox under the window, just outside. Gumshoe, there's also a mailbox. Okay, what else? What else, Mia? I'm sorry, but it was a very small window. I couldn't see anything else. Felt like I was in an old office building, maybe the 3rd floor or so. I heard an old office building. Good stuff, pal. Okay, just hang in there. Just a little longer, pal. Wish us luck. Good luck. I'll call you later. So don't let your battery die, okay, pal? Maya's not hurt, right? She's in a pretty bad state, Phoenix. She's being starved. Gumshoe, please hurry. Looks like we're out of time. Are you alright, Phoenix? It's only a matter of time before Maya's rescued. I can do this. I just have to make this trial last a little longer. Court will now reconvene. The killer of the man who murdered the victim handed this to his client. From this, one obvious question arises: why this particular item? I believe the answer to this question will provide us with the name of the real culprit. Now then, the prosecution calls the defense's manager Adrian Andrews to the stand. Currently, the witness is accused of tampering and obstruction of justice. However, you have been called to the witness stand today to ascertain who exactly is guilty of murder. I understand. Very good. Now, have you ever seen this bear before, Miss Andrews? Of course I have. You have seen it before? That's right. It's only natural that the witness has. Miss Andrews, could you please enlighten the court to this bear's secrets? All right. Why does she... Actually, this is an elaborate puzzle. If you know the correct order, it can be taken apart one piece at a time. At its center is a small cavity, just enough room to store a small item. Because of its complexity, if you don't know the order, you can't open the bear. You really can't tell that it's a small jewelry box just by looking at it. So this figurine, it's a container of sorts, is it? Yes, looks can be deceiving, wouldn't you agree? Yes, this is superb craftsmanship. Oh yes, I nearly forgot. You may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Looks like there really was something to that bear after all. A puzzle? That's right. But it looks like an ordinary figurine. True enough. To people who don't know, I'm sure they would never guess this was a puzzle. So what kind of puzzle is this exactly? So you can take it apart? And how would one go about doing that? Well, you first turn its tail to the right and then push it in. Oh yes, I see. After that, the arms and legs are free to move and can be removed. Oh, this is most interesting. A boy and his new toy. It's like he's 5 all over again. Oh, don't mind me. Go ahead and carry on. I think he's lost it. What do you find after you take the puzzle apart? And how do you know about this? I know because I was the one who bought it. Huh? It was a souvenir from when a friend and I went to Switzerland. Then this was a present from you? That's right. It was a puzzle in the shape of a bear, so I thought it would be perfect for Juan. So it was a present from Miss Andrews. Witness, let's continue with your testimony. So who exactly knew how to solve this puzzle? Only the two of us, Juan and myself. It was a souvenir from Switzerland, so I doubt there are that many people with the same bear in this country. But this looks like it can be easily broken, especially if someone wanted to get at what's inside. Well, it's a toy, but it can never be the same again once it's been broken. Who else knows this bear is actually a small container or jewelry box? Never told anyone, and as long as Juan never told anyone either, then only the two of us knew. The two of you, huh? Then of course that means Mr. Angar didn't know, right? I think this is about all I'm going to get for now. Well, Mr. Wright, I think even you have come to realize that there is one very important fact we have uncovered, and that is this. This bear is actually a jewelry box. Now that we have agreed on this to this point, there's only one logical question that can come next, and that is this. What is inside this box? What's inside? That's right. That's what we are going to find out next. Yes? You are the only one who can open this. Please. There's a painful silence hanging over the courtroom. All eyes are on Miss Andrews now as she solves the puzzle. I've opened it. Is this what you wanted? What is that? It looks like a note. I don't think we need to guess at what it is, do we, Mr. Wright? It's the suicide note. Yep. It's the suicide note. The suicide note? The suicide note left by Juan Corda's former manager, Celeste Impacts. Until now, no one knew of its whereabouts, but just as we suspected, it was hidden. Hidden by the victim, Juan Corda himself. I'm almost positive there has been no picture in any of these games that we've seen more than that one right there. It seems Celeste Impacts had very beautiful handwriting, and she just as beautifully signed her own name on this document. This is most definitely the note she left right before she committed suicide. Order! Witness! Did you know about this? Yes, I did. I heard all about it from Juan. When I discovered his body, I looked for the bear. I wanted to destroy the note before it became public, but I couldn't find it anywhere because it had already been taken by the killer. Everything is going at Mr. Edgeworth's pace. So now that the suicide note has been found, what's the next logical question? What is written on the note? That's right. At least that's what I would think. Now then, I believe it is only appropriate the contents of this note be made known. I can't stop you, can I? I went through so much just to get my hands on it, and I was going to burn it for her sake. I'm deeply sorry, but I can't allow you to persuade me to stop. And besides, if you knew anything about this court, you would know that despite this being a public hearing, or should have been a public hearing, we can just make sure private things get swept under the rug, just like Mr. White and his guilt. So don't worry, it won't get out. Your Honor, if you could please read the contents of the note aloud. Very well. The judge's voice rang loud and clear through the deathly silent courtroom. In her note, Celeste Impacts left to us a record of all that had happened to her, about being used and then thrown away by Engard, about how being engaged to Corda and Engard's role in destroying that, and about how she decided in her despair to end it all. And that's all Miss Impacts had to say. There's one thing I would like to say here. The prosecution has no interest in slandering Mr. Engard. Then what? Our intention, Your Honor, is to establish a motive for murder. Isn't that correct, witness? Yes. On the night of the murder, Juan was going to make the contents of the note public. After the post-ceremony show, he was going to hold a press conference. My word. Mr. Engard values above all else his refreshing like a spring breeze image, which is why he had to stop this note from being made public. At any cost.
It's Engard's fault that woman killed herself. At this time, he went so far as to kill someone to stop him from revealing that.
I guess
There was a sidebar order to defend these creeps too. Yeah.
there's no room for doubt here. Mr. the Killer's client's goal is to obtain the suicide note. The only person who needed this note that badly is the defendant. But let's not forget that the bear with the note inside was found at the defendant's house. It seems that we have come to the truth at last. The defendant's motives were entirely selfish. He deserves no sympathy from anyone. How am I supposed to escape from this one? Why the hesitation, Phoenix? Gumshoe isn't called yet, so you know what you must do. I know, I have to carry on and buy him some more time. Okay, there are two deadly pieces of evidence, this figurine and the suicide note. Maybe somehow I can find a way out of the situation through one of those. The gavel is already in the judge's hand. Phoenix, hurry. Please wait, Your Honor. Ugh, still going at it? Oh, fucking guy. Like he doesn't get it. He's trying to get a killer off the hook. I think Your Honor believes that Matt Engard killed in order to obtain this note. Yes, that is correct. That seems a little strange. In fact, I think there's a contradiction here. This note was hidden by Mr. Corda until the night of the murder. That is the case. I say that Matt Engard could not have known what was written on this note. Oh, I didn't think of it that way. Exactly, but I did think of it. But I did think of it that way, and I thought it was rather strange. No one in their right mind would kill for a note without first knowing what it said. Order, order, order. You make a valid point, Mr. Wright. Mr. Edgeworth, what is your opinion? It was just a flash, but I think I did rather well on this one. Unfortunately. I think he believes differently. I believe a show of appreciation is in order. Huh? The defense seems to be in love with wishing more despair upon itself. I would like to direct the court's attention to this. What is that? It is a very small video camera, Your Honor. This type of camera is commonly used as a means of spying. Spying? What the? I thought that spy camera was in my possession. Madame Guard and the victim both thought of the other as their biggest rival. They even went so far as to use this type of item to find each other's weaknesses. And the victim on corridor was being spied on. His personal life was being watched by none other than Matt Ungard. Order, order! Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? You don't tell me you knew about your client's spying activities. Well, sort of. Sort of is not an acceptable answer, Mr. Wright. I see you are confused, Mr. Wright. You're probably thinking, but I have the camera that was in the stuffed bear's eye. But this camera that I have is not that same one. Last night I searched the victim's house on a hunch, using this Gumshoe's bug sweeper. By the way, Mr. Wright, the defendant's fingerprints were found on this camera. Madame God's fingerprints were on there. Why would he buy them himself? Have somebody else buy them, you dumb fuck. Well, Phoenix, looks like those cameras were hidden all over the place, huh? What am I supposed to say to that evidence? I think this is the end of the world as we know it. It's fairly obvious that Mr. Ungard learned of the suicide note through this. He was watching the victim all along. You got me good this time. I don't have anything to counter that. Hey, now it's that lawyer thinking. Bobby, Bobby. Shush, don't look at him. He's evil. The way he's sweating is just so ew, nasty. Phoenix. Yes, Chief? Have you figured out what you're going to do next yet? What am I going to do next? Does running away like a frightened child work? I know it seems like Mr. Edgeworth is very close to putting the lid on this case, but in his eagerness to prove his point, he forgot one very important thing. Well, what is it, Muya? There's a piece of evidence that he really should investigate. Something he should investigate? I would really hate to see the good prosecutor get scolded for not remembering to look into the item when he had the chance. Why are you speaking in riddles all of a sudden? Yeah, just fucking tell me. It's not helpful. Why would she do that? Bet she'd feel like a fucking idiot if her sister died because she wouldn't just outright tell me what she was thinking before that judge brought his gavel down. Alright, I think this time we finally understand everything. Well, Mr. Wright, you don't have any further objections, do you? This piece of evidence that Mia's talking about. Can I figure out what it is that still needs to be looked at? Or should I let it go? Why would you let it go? I have an objection, Your Honor. That was about the weakest objection I've ever heard, Mr. Wright. Your Honor, the defense has no intention of letting things go so easily. You are beginning to sound desperate. That's just your imagination, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth, this is not like you at all. In your eagerness to prove your point, you've forgotten one very important thing. He just said word for word. Hey, isn't that what I just said? Yeah, well, maybe if you fucking told me what it is, I wouldn't have to stall for time and think in my head, so I'd have to use your language just in order to make sure that I have more time to think about what it is that I'm going to say so that I can find out what piece of evidence we need. So you're telling me that I forgot something? You're so close, Mr. Edgeworth. But there's something you really should examine about this piece of evidence. Who knows? I mean, sure, this suicide note was found inside this bear. But this bear was in my possession until only a few moments ago. Which means, oh my god. This is some next level shit. The handwriting on the suicide note has yet to be analyzed. Oh. So, as to whether this pivotal piece of evidence was really written by Miss Impax or not, that has yet to even be remotely confirmed. Mr. Wright, are you saying this suicide note is a fake? Miss Andrews, you were the one who tried to pin this murder on Mr. Ungard. Who's to say you didn't create a fake suicide note and put it into this bear? How dare you? God, just burying ourselves even deeper with her. Your Honor, the defense and indiscriminately accusing the witness again. There's no evidence linking the witness to the suicide note whatsoever. No, that's exactly it. I don't think about evidence that'll stall for time. That's not even remotely helpful in a real court situation. But if this is a fake, then the witness is the only person who could have made it. What? Recall the witness's testimony concerning this figurine. The only person other than the victim who could have solved the puzzle is the witness herself. Ah! Miss Andrews, you wrote this note, didn't you? You wrote it so you could use it to frame Matt on guard. I did no such thing. Right, if you're going to pronounce this suicide note a fake, then show this court some evidence to support your theory. You don't have to object to it, just talk. Mr. Edgeworth, you were the one who presented this scrap of paper as evidence. That means the burden of proof lies with you, the prosecution. That's absolutely true. That's enough, Mr. Edgeworth. Can you confirm the handwriting on this suicide note? And as the defense has stated, the handwriting is yet to be analyzed. If that's the case, it seems that yet again we have reached a point where a verdict is impossible. That's impossible. This isn't good, Phoenix. The judge is going to try to carry this trial over one more day. I don't think Maya will physically be able to make it another day. I didn't want to have to do this, but I don't have a choice. I request that both the prosecution and defense further investigate. Handwriting analysis, my butt. That's just a lawyer trying to buy more time. Unguarded is guilty. Look, any idiot can tell you that. I think we've reached the end of the line. Guilty, 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 guilty. What is that sound? It's Gumshoe. Hello, Gumshoe? What is with him? What's with that sigh? Where's Maya? What happened to the killer? He got away. What? I'm sorry, pal. I really am. I don't know what to say besides I'm sorry. I'm sure there's some way to make it up to you. I really do. Anyway, what's going on? We found his hideout, pal. But the two of them were already gone. This is terrible. I'm going to keep looking for them, pal. Don't you worry. I just need a little more time. But don't tell me we don't have any more. Guilty, guilty, guilty. You hear that? They're calling for his head. Mr. Wright, I can't. For us to come this far and... Oh! What is it? Let me talk to Mr. Edgeworth. I can't do that? Why? Mr. Wright, would you please get a hold of yourself? Yes, Your Honor. Yep. He'd have been thrown out of the fucking courtroom for that. Depending on the judge, some judge will immediately sanction attorneys, like fine them money for having their phone ring in the courtroom. Others won't do that, but you'll get a stern warning. But if any judge, if you have the phone ring and then you pick it up and start talking to them, yeah, you're gonna get kicked out. The only time I can think of where it would be considered a variation of it would be considered is if you were waiting for a client and the judge is like, where the fuck's the client? I'm like, I don't know. And you're trying to contact them, you can't reach them, and then you're sitting in court waiting awkwardly, and then your phone rings. You might say, oh, judge, this is the client. He might say, okay, go take it outside, and you can do that. That would be okay. But like, that's really one of the only situations I can think of where you wouldn't immediately like get your ass handed to you. I'm about to end today's proceedings. You may take your phone calls later. After. Hold on, Your Honor. Edgeworth, catch. Mr. Edgeworth. Edgeworth didn't even catch it. He just sat there and looked at it, and it stopped in front of him. And like, it just floated in the air. What a fucking beast. Please, you gotta buy us some more time. Court is in session. I'm sorry, Your Honor. You were saying? Mr. Wright, this is a court of law. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I'm reluctant to do this. However, it appears that I have no choice but to suspend proceedings until tomorrow. This time I really can't do anything. Court is now adjourned for the day. Please wait, Your Honor. Edgeworth? What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I humbly request another 30 minutes of your honor's time. For what purpose? We can perform the necessary tests on this piece of evidence in that time. But can you really obtain your results in 30 minutes? I believe we can, Your Honor. But wouldn't it be better if we adjourn for today and then reconvene tomorrow? I really have this 5 o'clock tea time I need to get to. We really need to get it. You get a discount if you start after a certain time when you go to a golf course, but then you really have to hustle to get through, you know, all the holes, because once it's dark and there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, it doesn't matter. You're gonna do what you're gonna do, and we're gonna have to keep this going anyway. All right, 30 minutes, please, Your Honor. That's all I'm asking for. Please, Your Honor. Very well. At the prosecution's request, this court will now take a 30-minute recess. But be advised that I will not allow another recess today. I'm not sure if this is helping or hurting us. The court will now take its final recess of the day. It can only help you. Otherwise, you lose. You lose, Phoenix. Jesus Christ, it's only like 2 o'clock and he's like, there's no choice. We must recess for the day. He's thinking in his head like, oh man, this is good. I can take an afternoon nap and everything. Oof. Today's going to be a good day. Thank you, Mr. Wright, for bringing that up. Right, well, what's going on with Maya's situation? The killer, it looks like he got away again. 30 minutes? We can't find her in that time. Ugh. Report! Is that Mr. Edgeworth? We don't have time, just spit it out. Right, looks like we just missed him, sir. The killer left a few things behind by accident and has rushed to get away. A few things? Can we use any of them as evidence? Ho ho ho, I thought you'd ask, pal. I've got the things you left with me right now, and I'm on my way over. Really? That's odd. Any items like that are usually sent to the crime lab first. We don't have time to wait for those guys, sir. When those guys weren't looking, I swiped the stuff and ran. What? Well, I'm not a detective anymore, so I had to. I'm really sorry, sir, but I've got to put the law on hold for now. Sounds bad. I hope he doesn't get in too much trouble over this. Hey, you can get thrown in jail for that. With my hunk of junk car, I'd say I'll be there in about 20 minutes, sir. Don't worry, I'll be there. Wait for me. All right. Just get here in one piece. I'm on a mission, and no one can stop me now, sir. No one. I'm pulling out all the stops and running every red light. No, don't. Okay. Items left by the murder, huh? Maybe there's something among them that would be decisive enough to end this. Did he run the car into the courtroom? Hey, what's wrong? Detective Gumshoe, answer me! What happened? It sounded like he had an accident. I'm guessing his cell phone broke as well. What was he thinking? We gotta hurry and call for help. Well, we have no idea where he is. His cell phone is broken and he wasn't driving a patrol car, so no radio either. Is it really that hard to find an accident that happened? Because it's probably gonna get called in by the other person at least. Or someone, and they're on the way from the Very Big Circus, so there's like the quickest route that you could think of. Also, if we don't get to those items before they do, the police will take possession of them. No, we can't let that happen. Well, if there is a way we can find out where he is, then we stand a chance. Why did Gumshoe have to get into an accident now? Is there any way to find out exactly where he is at this moment? That's right, there is a way. What? How? I'm sure we can find out where Detective Gumshoe through this. Take that! I don't have any right to judge anyone ever again. I know my client is guilty, but what I'm doing now, pinning the guilt onto someone totally innocent and using the evidence to do so, might be my turn to say defense attorney Phoenix Wright chooses death. Right? It doesn't suit someone like you to cry useless tears. Whether you did your job well or not, that can only be seen after the verdict has been decided. Verdict. Prosecutor Edgeworth here? Yes, bailiff? There's a phone call for you, sir. They said it was extremely urgent. I'm probably finished with the handwriting analysis. I have to go take this call. In the meantime, think hard about what it is you must do.